What if you could use a single template to generate completely different configurations for different environments? That's exactly what Terraform's template file function allows you to do. What if Terraform could automatically select the correct value based on whether you are deploying to development or production without writing complex conditions? And what if Terraform could read scripts and configuration files directly from your file system, keeping your code cleaner and easier to maintain? In this video, we'll learn three Terraform functions that are commonly used in real-world projects: template file, lookup, and file. By the end of this tutorial, you will know exactly when and how to use each of them to create cleaner and more reusable Terraform configurations. Let's get started. In this tutorial, we'll use Terraform's template file function to generate an EC2 user data script dynamically. Notice these placeholders for department and name. Terraform will replace these values during deployment and generate the final script automatically. Next, we'll use the lookup function to select the correct Amazon machine image, which is AMI, based on the AWS region we are deploying to. Terraform will retrieve the appropriate AMI from a map instead of hard coding values. We will also use the file function to read the contents of an SSH public key file. Terraform will load the file contents directly and use them to create an AWS key pair. Before we start using functions, let's quickly understand what a Terraform function actually is. Terraform provides built-in functions that allow us to transform data and perform operations dynamically inside our configurations. Now I've just logged into Terraform console. A function accepts one or more inputs, performs an operation, and returns a value. For example, the max function returns the largest number from a list of values. Here we have maximum of 5, 12, 9, which should return 12. Functions can also transform strings. Here the upper function converts the text to uppercase. You can see that it's Terraform lowercase and now it's converted into Terraform uppercase. In this tutorial, we'll focus on three functions. The template file function helps generate dynamic scripts. The lookup function retrieves values from a map, and the file function reads the content of a file. Let's start with template file. Let's understand template file function. AWS lets you configure EC2 instances to run a user-provided script called a user data script at boot time. You can use Terraform template file function to interpolate values into the script at the resource creation time. This makes the script more adaptable and reusable. So this is the template file, which will be the user data script for your EC2 instance. So if you can see in you have all these interpolations where there is a department and there is a name. These references will be interpolated during the resource creation time and when you are using the template file function. So if you see here, the user data for AWS instance is referencing the template file function, and this is the template that we are using, and the values to be interpolated are passed into this template file function, and one is the actual department and the name, which are used inside the template file, which we have seen, a name and department. If you go back, and it is coming from var.user_department and var.user_name. So if you look at the variables, we have created these variables which has got these default values. Terraform is the username, and learn is the user department. Remember, the user department and user name, they are different from the actual values used in the template. So here the department is just referencing the variable user department, and name is referencing the variable username. So let's try to apply and see if it creates a configuration. It is creating a VPC, internet gateway, subnet, security group, route table association, a security group, and now finally it is creating the AWS instance. You can see now it has completed creation, and it must have we cannot see the actual values of the configuration because the instance would have booted inside, but everything is working perfectly and we do not have any errors, otherwise it would fail. This is how you would use the template functions. So let's move on to understanding the lookup function. Lookup functions are used to retrieve the value of a single element from a map. Let's say we have this variable AMI, AWS AMI's map, and we've got key and we've got a value. Then we can retrieve the value of the AMI providing the value of the region. And that's exactly what we are doing here. We're using a lookup var.aws underscore AMIs. We are providing, this is a lookup function we are calling, and the arguments that inputs that we are providing are variable AWS underscore AMIs and variable AWS underscore region. Now, if you look at it, we don't know what the variable AWS underscore AMI is, right? But we do know what is variable AWS underscore region, which is US East 1. So when we get that, then the value that we get for the variable AWS AMI is for US East 1, this AMI 04, whatever, right? Now, this is a default value US East 1. Now we can change it by minus var equal to var, and I can change that, override that default AWS region to US East 2. And I will see that there will be some changes. And if I really want to see what exactly is the variable, I will add an output for the AMI value, and I can make it again. I can use a lookup there as well. So the way to do that is like this, where I'm using a lookup, and then again I am using passing the AWS region to do it. So let's try to do a Terraform plan, and this time you'll see an output which has an AWS AMI. So you can see that there is an AMI value, and because we have provided it ends with 2224F, let's go to our variables, because US East 2, and that is 2224F. So that's how we can use our lookup functions. We will move on to the file function. In this section, we'll create a new security group to allow SSH ingress traffic to your instance and configure the instance with an SSH key. Now I've already created a local public and private SSH key. Now I have copied and pasted a resource for AWS key pair, and I am using the file function to access my public key that is there locally, which is this file. I've also copy pasted a new security ingress group rule to allow port 22 to AWS instance. So I just need to add that ingress rule to my instance as well, which I will just do that. So along with 8080, now we are also allowing port 2022 so that we can log into that instance. That's all. Now let's try to do a Terraform apply and see what happens. So it's a yes. And now I have the Terraform apply is complete now. So I will try to log on to there's a web public ID which I will be using my Terraform output, and I'll try to connect to that instance with my SSH key, private key. So let's just see if that happens. It's able to, so port 2022 is open now, and I just said yes. Now I'm able to connect it. So this is how you can use the lookout function. Let's quickly recap what we learned. We used the template function to generate dynamic user data scripts. We used the lookup function to retrieve values from a map. And we used the file function to read the contents of a file directly into our Terraform configurations. These functions help make Terraform configurations more dynamic, reusable, and easier to maintain. If you found this tutorial helpful, consider liking the video and subscribing for more Terraform and DevOps content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.